The human body can survive for weeks without food, but what if your only source of nourishment was unthinkable? What if the only thing standing between life and death was a choice you never imagined making? October 13th, 1972. A plane carrying 45 people, young rugby players, their friends and family, soars over the towering Andes Mountains. They laugh, they joke, unaware that in just moments, their world will shatter. The crash that follows will leave them stranded in a frozen wasteland where they must fight the elements and their own humanity just to stay alive. This is the true story of Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571, the Andes flight disaster. The Fairchild FH-227 twin-engine turboprop lifted off from Montevideo, Uruguay, en route to Santiago, Chile. On board, the old Christians Club rugby team was in high spirits. They were young, full of life, excited for their upcoming match. But nature had other plans. As the aircraft approached the Andes, thick clouds swallowed the plane whole. Inside the cockpit, the pilots struggled to navigate. They believed they had cleared the mountain range, but they were terribly mistaken. Without warning, the right wing clipped the peak of a jagged mountain. The impact tore it clean off. A second later, the left wing followed. The fuselage, now a helpless metal shell, plummeted down the icy slopes. Bodies slammed against each other, screams filled the cabin, and then silence. When the dust settled, the wreckage lay in a remote valley at 11,800 feet, surrounded by nothing but ice and death. 12 passengers had died on impact, including the pilot. Others lay broken, bleeding, barely clinging to life. Their nightmare had just begun. Daylight revealed the brutal reality. They were trapped in an unforgiving white desert, with no food, no warmth, and no rescue in sight. At night, temperatures dropped to minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind cut through their torn clothes like knives. They huddled together inside the broken fuselage, using seats and luggage to block the cold. But each night felt longer than the last. Hunger gnawed at their stomachs. They rationed the tiny scraps of food they had. Chocolate bars, a few bottles of wine, some crackers. It wasn't enough. Within days, they were starving. Then on the 10th day, hope turned to despair. A makeshift radio found among the wreckage crackled with a news broadcast. The search for Flight 571 had been called off. The outside world believed they were dead. Some lost hope, others prayed, but one question loomed over them all. How much longer could they last? As hunger tightened its grip, a grim realization set in. The mountains offered no food. There were no animals, no plants, nothing. The only source of nourishment was the bodies of their dead friends, lying frozen in the snow. At first, the idea was unthinkable. They were teammates, classmates, family. But as the days dragged on, their bodies grew weaker. They could feel death approaching. And so, with shaking hands and tears in their eyes, they made the ultimate sacrifice. To live, they would have to consume the flesh of the dead. It was an act of pure survival. Some prayed before taking their first bite, asking for forgiveness. Others wept. But in that moment, it was no longer about morality, it was about staying alive. Weeks passed. The weather grew worse. Avalanches buried the wreckage, killing 8 more survivors. They knew if they stayed, they would die. If rescue wasn't coming, they had to find help themselves. 2 men, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa, stepped forward. They would make the impossible journey. With nothing but makeshift gear and sheer determination, they set off across the mountains, walking towards an unknown fate. They climbed for days, their bodies weak, their breaths shallow. Every step felt like their last. But then, on the 10th day, they saw something that didn't belong in this frozen wasteland. A man, a Chilean shepherd, spotted them from across a river. Too weak to shout, Nando scribbled a desperate note and threw it on a rock. The shepherd picked it up and ran for help. After 72 days lost in the mountains, rescue helicopters arrived. 14 survivors were pulled from the wreckage. Against all odds, they had made it. The world was stunned. How had they survived? When news of their cannibalism spread, some judged them. Others saw them as heroes. But no one could deny their strength, their will, their sheer determination to live. Years later, Nando Parado spoke about the moment he chose to survive. He said, "It was simple. Either we died or we fought." Their story has been told in books, documentaries, and the movie Alive. But the real question remains, what would you have done? Could you have made the same choice? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more incredible true stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.